All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Akakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, I'm the brother Rock from GMS Dallas, and I got the brother Tasha.
GMS.
Yep, got the brother Tasha with me. All right, and wanted to do a quick lesson through the Spirit. Essentially going into what the scriptures mean, all right, when they, basically exhort us to be pilgrims upon the planet Earth. All right. So I entitled the lesson Arise Ye and Depart. All right. The spirit of a pilgrim. Because essentially, you know what? I'm gonna start off with the precept, right? Because the scriptures say, seek ye the old paths.
Yeah.
All right. So let me start here in Jeremiah 6:16. It says, Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein. All right. So the old paths. All right. When you go into the old paths, that's essentially talking about our history, the manners and customs, so to speak, of our history, the nation of Israel. And when you go into our history, you got to think about Abraham. All right. Abraham was a pilgrim. All right. Who made a pilgrimage, from, where he was during the time of his father's house. All right. To Ra, down into Egypt, back through the land, so on and so forth. He was a pilgrim, and then our nation as a whole made a pilgrimage after we were delivered out of Egypt, and then even, did you have a point?
Well, I was going to tell you to put that word pilgrimage.
Kind of, no, yeah, we're gonna get all that. You know what I'm saying? I had to it up. But just wanted to touch on the origin, of the mindset, so to speak. I'm gonna pull another precept and then whatever you got. But let me finish this out. Jeremiah 6:16 says, Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. And that's an important point too. You're not going to find rest for your souls if you're trying to make, Babylon the Great in your life in this world. If you're trying to reside in that, if you're trying to dwell in that, you're never going to have peace. You're never going to be settled in the spirit.
Because this is a chaotic system.
Exactly.
All the way down to the money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Edom wants full control of everything that is you. That's why he's trying to put something in you so he can stamp a control signal on you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And know your ins and outs and be your God. All right.
Yep.
But
America, like the brother's saying, America is called Babylon the Great in the scriptures for a reason. The root word of Babylon, Babal, means confusion by mixing. So like the brother said, the whole point of this thing is to confuse you, to unsettle you, which is why it's so important, again, to remember, we're pilgrims in this thing, man. This is not our rest. You know what I'm saying? But let me pull this, and then did you have something you want to pull real quick?
Sure, you got it.
Okay. And then I'm going to read this real quick. This is Genesis chapter 25 and verse 27. All right. Going back to basically the birth of Jacob and Esau. Right. And it's interesting because even going back then, when you read the scriptures and it describes basically the spirit that was on Esau and the spirit that was on Jacob. All right. That spirit stays, with the nation. That, that's our origins, so to speak. So this is Genesis 25 and verse 27. It says, the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. All right. So even going back to our forefather Jacob, all right, who was surnamed Israel, all right, and who the 12 tribes, descended from. He was a plain man dwelling in tents. He wasn't a man that was, super caught up, in this carnal reality and mindset,
So like,
You have anything?
nah, I was going to pull that second Ezra 6 and 9.
Kind of.
You know, just going into what's the end all be all, right? Because between Jacob and Esau, yes, it was a fight, but the Most High, gave it unto Jacob because he was doing what Esau couldn't do. Just like Cain and Abel. Abel was giving the more perfect sacrifice, right? And Cain couldn't do it if he put everything together, properly. But this is Second Ezra chapter 6 verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Just hitting straight on the point. All right. Really, I should really start up. I'll start at 8. Well, sorry.
7.
Yeah, I'll start at 7. It says, "Then answered I, uh, what shall be the parting of sunder of the times, or what shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth?" All right. So Edris is asking a question about how is all this going to work itself out. All right. And we have to be in the mindset of uh, we know the ending. We just have to go through the bullshit.
Right. Yep, we're going somewhere.
Yeah, and
that's an important point.
And that's what this lesson is going into, because to be on a pilgrimage.
Yep.
Yep. You
I'm gonna get this, so if you want to speak on it, you can. This is the definition of a pilgrimage on a Britannica. It says pilgrimage, a journey undertaken for a religious motive. Although some pilgrims have wandered continuously with no fixed destination, pilgrims more commonly seek a specific place that has been sanctified by association with the divinity or other holy personage.
See, and you really have to break that down.
100%.
Because a pilgrimage is really a whole life's journey.
Right.
Right. And as you're going through your life, as we are going through our lives, that Yahweh Shemel Shai has given us, He has plucked us out of the world, and put us in His secret place for us to, mature and grow. All right, and with us growing and seeking Him, because we're seeking that solemn place to rest.
I got a precept.
Baba Kushai.
This is Second Ezra 7 and 6.
My man.
I'm gonna read down to about verse 10, and we can get some meat off of this. It says, "There is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things."
And that's Jerusalem. Or the city of peace.
That's the destination.
Yeah,
that's where we're going.
That's the destination. But we're only going to get there if Yahweh Shemel Shai is our guide. As it says in that Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 72. I perceive. Because it's literally set up for us to have. Okay, but the journey isn't instantaneous. All right, and you have to be changed in the renewing of your mind.
I don't want to stop you when you mid sentence though. You know what I'm saying? I got a precept.
Well, you have to be changed on the journey. On the journey, the journey will change you through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Yeah, but you got it. So.
No, that's a beautiful point. That you read my mind, because it's like that scripture that we read in Second Ezra 7. It's really it's multifold, because like the Lord said here in Luke 17 and 21, it says, "Neither shall they say, Lo here, lo there, for behold, the kingdom of Yahweh Shemel Shai is within you." So like the brother said, prophecy is taking us to the actual fulfillment of the kingdom, right, being established on the planet Earth, all right, in the physical reality, right? Yes, that is going to happen.
That is going to happen.
But on the spiritual tip, it's a self-development that the Lord is doing with all the elect,
all the elect, all the brothers,
right, and the remnant.
Yeah,
the Lord is working on all of us, and like the elder always says, we're going from glory to glory.
And it's for you, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negro descent. And it's for your better. All this, everything that Yahweh Shemi Awashad is doing, is for your better. And the elect know that. Yeah. All right, the 2/3 wants to be rested here in this world, instead of going to that next glory. And the next glory is the end all be all. It's the end of all this shit. It's rulership. All right, it's that Psalm chapter 2 and 10. Asking me and I give thee the heathen for thy inheritance.
Yep, if we can keep going on this second Ezra 7. No, you good. This is a second Ezra 7 and 7, going into your point, bro. It says the entrance thereof is narrow, yep, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand and on the left deep water.
Because that's just keeping your eye single. Mm-hmm. Because it's perils all around you. Mm-hmm. Just like right now, it's perils all around us. Yep. All right, we got this technology point. Then on top of that, we have Esau Edom, being a roaring lion, trying to get Jake off guard or off hilt.
Yep. Yep. If I may, going back to the mentality of the lesson, we're pilgrims. Man, pilgrims are in the wilderness. Ooh. Pilgrims are dealing with the elements. I was going to mention John the Baptist is a good example. When John the Baptist, made the decision to separate himself, all right, from Jerusalem and what was going on, he made a pilgrimage into the wilderness. Yep. And it's the spirit, because while he was in the wilderness, what was he doing? He was waiting for Yahweh Shah. Yep. And that's what we're doing.
And you got it. And another thing about a pilgrim is that usually they're defenseless. Usually they aren't trying to cause a ruckus. Mm-hmm. But yet every time accusation. Mm-hmm. So it's really a part of the walk. All this fluff is a part of the walk. And if you don't understand fluff,
when you say fluff,
it's like all this extra stuff, mm-hmm, that you didn't seem to want to happen just happens for no reason. It's just extra. If I'm saying that properly, I'm coming from a 90s baby's mindset. So
you're talking about like all the technology. Like, what are you talking about?
Like all the extra
dainties.
Yeah.
Okay,
all the bullshit.
Yep. Matter of fact, since you mentioned that, might as well go ahead and pull it. Let's go ahead and grab that Micah 2 and 10, since I quoted it.
Arise ye and depart.
Yep. This is Micah chapter 2 and verse 10. And it reads, it says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with sword destruction." And if I may build on what you're saying, what I'm saying? Like the brothers is basically breaking down all the extra stuff that comes with, Babylon the Great, Western civilization. It's all polluted.
Yep.
It's really all a snare.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? The comfortability, the
women,
the access to all these various things, it's all polluted.
Everything's defiled.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's defiled, man. Like nothing can really be yours. Yep. All right. The money that you make, see, America wants you to think that, look at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But really, you're not making any money. Really, it's the blessing from me. How about you, me? You're getting your daily bread. Mm-hmm. All right. Yep. But like I was listening to something to something today. Just a guy going through asking AI, how would you keep the young population from understanding who they are?
Mm-hmm.
You know, in this modern day,
Mm-hmm.
he said, "Oh, well, we're just going to," and I'm going to shorten it. You know, AI responded to, "Oh, we're just going to make it to where they're an impulsive generation and not want anything but clout,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Whoa,
Mm-hmm.
is that not the generation that we're in?" But
Mm-hmm.
was not this generation prophesied in the scriptures?
Mm-hmm.
All right, about how they would be lovers of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and
Second Timothy 4.
and it ties right in
Mm-hmm.
because Esau, what Esau wants you to do is to not think of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. He wants you to be engulfed,
Yep.
and in wickedness,
Right.
so he can become your God.
May I get something for you?
Bakusha.
This is Proverbs chapter 4. And this is spirit. This precept keeps coming out, but it's a heavy precept because it's so relevant to what's going on right now. Like the elder did the lesson on our Saturday class, basically going into towards the beginning of the lesson. If you watch it, he makes he goes into the cell phone, your phone.
Yeah.
Not being so enslaved by your fucking phone. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that we all got to deal with because it's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it's a condition
of the battle. Right. But this is Proverbs 4:23. Just going into what you're saying, if you want to speak on it, it says, this is Proverbs 4:23. It says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." All right. So you gotta keep your mind clear and sober, to tap into the spirit, man. And in order to do that, a lot of times you have to eliminate distractions. And most of the distractions that E is going to shoot at you is going to come through this device, the phone, the laptop, the iPad, whatever it is. All right. They're all forms of media. All right. We go into that word media. That word media goes back to a medium.
Yeah, medium.
Basically a bridge.
It's trying to ensnare you.
Right.
All this, worldly shit, this isn't good to take on your pilgrimage. All right. And it's only through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua that we have the level of understanding, to separate. We have to separate ourselves, be holy.
Yep.
To be set apart. Salaki, I'm thinking about that Deuteronomy 7:6.
Mm-hmm. Quick one.
And
Salaki,
no,
you got it.
You got it. Bob Shah.
It says Proverbs 2:10 and 11.
Yep.
It says, "When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, and understanding shall keep thee."
So through wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because that Wisdom of Solomon 1:1 goes into that.
Yep, and applying it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what the elders of this camp, but the elders of GMS always say, you have to apply what you read.
Mm-hmm.
Elder Ariella says that a lot, and when you start applying it, all right, that's when you grow. But as you're growing, what else is going to occur is demons are going to fuck with you,
mm-hmm.
all right, because they see that, oh, we have a man that is, really into Yahweh Shem Yahushua. We don't want him to do that. Mm-hmm. That's why we ask for protection from Yahweh Shem Yahushua to get through the day, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the spirit above all things, because we are still sojourning. We're about to get to that position of rest. Mm-hmm. All right, we got a couple more prophecies.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
But if you have something about
Yep, I got some more. This is Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 14. or excuse me, chapter 11, verse 13 and 14. It says, these all died in faith. All right. And this, when you go up, this chapter is going into the basically our forefathers, our forefathers and foremothers, and the the faith that they put on display, throughout the totality of their lives, basically, and that being an example, when you go into this chapter. But Hebrews 11 and 13 and 14, it says, Hebrews 11 verse 13 and 14, it says, these all died in the faith, having not received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. All right, and I'm gonna get this word pilgrims just for edification. In the Greek, this is Strong's G 3927. It says peripedemos, and it says one who comes from a foreign country into a city or land to reside there by the side of the natives. But it says an alien alongside, i.e., a resident, foreigner, pilgrim, stranger. And that's what we are here in Babylon the Great. When these people see us, they see the spirit that's on us. When they see the way that we move, the way that we conduct ourselves, we look like fucking aliens. We do.
We stand out.
Right. Even if we're not trying to.
Bro, it's true.
But that's why the scriptures talk about being circumspect, and being wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. You gotta know how to move too, in this thing.
Yeah. Because you can't. I mean, Tobit chapter 13 talks about how you let your light shine among the Gentiles. Loosely paraphrasing.
Yep.
But like sometimes you have to know how you carry it. Because they see in you something that they can't achieve. Okay, and that's one thing that I've noticed being in this truth for as long as I have. And calling out by Shemiah Shai is like, again, whenever you exude Yahweh Shemiah Shai, the world cleaves to that. They want to cleave to that, but yet they're afraid of it at the same time. Okay.
Yeah, it activates all type of stuff.
And like being around it, people want to gravitate to it. All right, but they don't want to get too deep at the same time. All right.
Right.
But
right. Yeah. Like you said, it causes a reaction, to your environment. Like that's why the scriptures liken it under light. Yeah. Certain people that want to be asleep don't like the light. And then you got some people who, want to wake up a little bit. They want to know, and they'll gravitate towards the light, like the brother's saying.
Yeah, like again, those things that you desire on this side, you can't achieve. You can't have because of the light. Okay, like again, this comes to the woman. All right, you want a woman, but yet you're in this truth and wisdom. The funny thing about wisdom is wisdom will cut off a woman. If she's not for you, or if she's not for you right now, she'll cut it off because these women want to take up all your time. All right. And being a pilgrim in this thing is we don't need something we can hold on to keep us in Babylon the Great. Case in point, Lot. Lot and Lot's wife. Lot's wife wanted to stay because we got substance. Yep. We rich. Why do we want to leave?
Yeah. And they were making a pilgrimage. They were making a journey out of the city.
Yeah,
that got destroyed.
Yeah, and what did Yahweh Shemiah Shai do? He let her stay in the position that she wanted to be in.
Turn her into a pillar of salt.
Turn her into a pillar of salt, and she is still a memorial to this day.
Right.
But yet today's people can't comprehend the memorial that was placed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they don't have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai.
Mm-hmm.
But so like,
you got another precept?
I was going to pull that Wisdom of Solomon 10.
You got it.
Going into what you brought out about wisdom. You know, this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10, verses 15 and 16. Right, because this is what wisdom does. All right, it says that she entered into the servants of Yahweh Shem Shai.
We got to start up on verse 10.
Yeah,
we started at verse 10.
It's a lot of meat on this one. I was trying. All right, verse 10. It says, Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 10. It says, when the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, she guided him in the right path. Mm-hmm. She like it.
You me read it?
My eyes just went.
This is Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 10, and this is going into Jacob right here. It says, when the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, talking about Esau,
Edom.
It says she guided him in the right paths, showed him the kingdom of the Most High, and gave him knowledge of holy things, made him rich in his travels. Right, going into what we're going into.
Let me break that down.
You got it.
Yeah. Could you start back at 10?
Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 10. It says, when the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, she guided him in right paths.
So whenever Jacob and Esau tussling, right? Jacob and Esau tussling, that's Amazon. That's okay. Mm-hmm. She delivered him. Right? She showed him a proper way.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he sent when you go into the account, he sent gifts.
Yeah.
And stuff, and he positioned himself to where he sent the gifts, and I believe it was the women however he did it. I gotta go back and read the account. And then he was tussling with the angel in the back. But you got it.
But
it says, and gave him knowledge of holy things, made him rich in his travels, and multiplied the fruit of his labors.
So she gave him wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. All right, it was all a culmination, to further him along.
Yep, that makes me think about the account when he was working for Laban, and he multiplied the sheep.
Yep,
using that the wisdom.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Abraham, even Abraham in Egypt, mm-hmm. He was given knowledge. Right? He was given algebra. Right? And that's what the Egyptians used to help build the pyramids. Right? But you continue.
Come. Verse 11, it says, in the covetousness of such as oppressed him, she stood by him and made him rich. She defended him from his enemies and kept him safe from those that lay in wait.
In the covetousness, so in Esau Edom, that desired to have the blessing. Esau Edom desired to have everything that Jacob has, and so like it, and through the wisdom that was given unto Jacob, mm-hmm. He couldn't take everything that was given. My bad. You got it, Salaki.
Nah. The point. What was the point that you wanted on this?
Well,
Psalm 10 and what verse?
It was 15 and 16.
So I'm gonna jump down back to 15 and 16. It says, she delivered the righteous people and blameless seed from the nation that oppressed them. She entered into the soul of the servant of the Lord and withstood dreadful kings and wonders and signs.
And that's what is going to be given to us on this pilgrimage, is through the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we're going to need to survive on the trek, on the trek to it, but
next verse goes into that. Verse us. As
we acquire this blessing, is going to make us grow that much more and take off that old man and put on Yahweh Shemi Shai. But you got it.
Verse 17, it says, "Rendered to the righteous a reward of their labors,
Boom.
Guided them in a marvelous way." And if I may, this path that we're on now, all right, in these times, all right, this is that marvelous. This is a marvelous way. This is that highway that the scriptures speak about when you read the Old Testament, right? Because when you think about the truth, all right, the truth is centered around a doctrine, and when you go into that word doctrine, the word doctrine in the Greek, it tells you that's instructions. It's like a GPS. It's like we're being guided, But like the brother said, it's all through the strength and power of Yahweh Shemi Shai and the wisdom that He gave us. But it says, verse 17, "Render to the righteous a reward of their labors, and guided them in a marvelous way, and was unto them for a cover by day, and a light of stars in the night season."
Talking about the chariots,
right?
And everybody is working in this truth for the same amount. We're all going to get a penny, but that penny is going to be everything that you need for the rest of your existence.
All right. Yeah, I got one more, and then whatever you got, you can close it. 2 Corinthians 4:18, it says, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So just hitting the nail one more time on the idea of the lesson. All right, we're supposed to be in the spirit of prophecy, anticipating the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai, and with that comes a personal transformation, like we brought up that Romans 12:12, being transformed by the renewing of your mind. All right, but you got to detach in order to take part of this process. You got to cut ties. You got to cut ties, man.
Because this world is going to straight abuse everything that you are working towards. Everything that is not proper in your walk is in this world. But
yeah. Well, kind. I think we hit the head on that. I'll go ahead and wrap it up there. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makakodash. Double honors again to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And shalom to the next lesson.
Shalom and shalom.